Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to session 3 of this 5 days faculty development program on technology disruptions in management by College of Management, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Kattangaltur campus, sponsored by AICTE Atal Academy. Technology is a tool. The talent who utilizes it makes the difference. Moving right along, it's now my pleasure to introduce our guest speaker, Ms. Madhuvanti Ravi, Manager HR Business Process, AP Moeller, Maersk, Bangalore. Ms. Madhu holds an MBA HRD from Edith Cowan University, Australia, and graduated in Visual Communication from Madras University, India. She brings close to 15 years of experience in build scaling, HR digital transformation, branding, and internal comms, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and HR business partnership across IT services and IT product organizations. She joined AP Moeller Maersk during April 2021. At Maersk, she is currently managing talent branding and acquisition in multiple countries. Prior to joining Maersk, Madhu worked at International Affairs Specialist at Alliance University from September 2009 to March 2011 and led business partner HR at Infosys for about 7 years. She was an assistant manager HR, Fujitsu India, Bangalore, and also NextGen Healthcare HR business partner, R&D, vice chair for Global Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Advisory Board. She is also integrating transport and logistic company at Maersk AP Moeller. On behalf of College of Management, SRM Institute of Science and Technology, I welcome Ms. Madhuvanti Ravi to take the session on beating human biases with technology. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Suganti. That was like a very detailed introduction. Thanks for taking me back to all the organizations where I worked. So I'm again requesting everyone. I think Kavita ma'am has posted a link. Without this link, my session is pretty much useless. I rely too much on technology myself. So please join this link. I've reposted it. Please join this link and we can get started. I'm going to share my screen. Please let me know if you're able to see my tab or rather screen. Okay. Thanks. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, yes.
All right. So thank you so much for inviting me and having me over here today. Please, at any point, if you have a question, there is a question bot which is open. You can always go and post your question, keep it parked there, and we can come at a later point and revisit and answer those questions. Look forward to equally learning from you as much as helping you understand a couple of things which happens in the industry. So it's my pleasure to be here. Today, I see 33 participants. I think we can get started. Thank you so much for having me once again. The topic that's graciously given to me is to beat human biases with technology. And definitely, it's going to be a very interesting conversation from where I see it. Getting started. Okay. These are the questions. So you can keep your questions coming. Don't post things like hi all and all of that. Just post a proper solid question if you have, and we can revisit them in the end. Okay. You have 2 minutes. You can explain in one word what you're feeling right now. You can also say sleepy. It's okay. It's totally okay. I know it's 2 o'clock right after lunch. So go ahead.
Where do you type?
If you're logged into the link, then you will have a like a space to enter your answer. I see people have already started. Someone kind of said really sleepy. I think you should really take a break. This session is being recorded, so you can definitely use a nap right now. You can go take a nap and probably log into the other sessions and feel energetic. Or feel free to get yourself a cup of coffee, totally acceptable as well. Whatever helps. Okay, a lot of people are energetic and eager. That's very, very, very nice. A lot of people are active and charged, which is pretty great. Of course, I promised you a very interactive session because I hate boring sessions myself. Not been a fan of it. Oogie dokes. So I think that's it. I think we close this screen. Thank you so much. I think most of you are eager, looking forward, energetic, and I hope to give you an interesting session here. Thank you so much for everyone who's giving me a thumbs up and hearts. Really, really appreciate it. Okay. Have you ever been biased towards another colleague? Rate what you would probably say. Yes. Okay. Maybe. All right. I have only 6 people who have answered. There are 42 folks logged into this call. So I request all of you to please answer. Great.
How
Interesting.
to click the answer?
Sorry.
How to click the answer?
Sir, please go to
Sir,
and you can find the question that Madhu is asking you and you can give your answer there. That answer will be reflected here.
You'll have to keep changing the screen. That is, you'll have to do it there and then
Yes.
come to this for the presentation. Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
Okay, you have to
Yes.
answer there. Okay.
Yes, sir. You have to answer there.
Okay, fine. Thank you.
all right. I think very interesting, right? 56% of you said yes, and that's really interesting because not many of us would like to accept that we have been biased towards another colleague. But sometimes we just can't help it, can we? And 12% of you confidently said no. Like, how can you even ask me this question, right? 32%, and this is usually right when I do these sessions, and I know this is mostly faculty, but typically I do this with employees and corporate folks, and mostly this maybe will be the highest because they are not sure of whether or not they have been biased towards another colleague, right? So a very
But there
interesting
can be many reasons also when you are biased, ma'am.
Yeah, of course, we'll come to that
Yeah.
later. But my
Okay.
question is just a yes, no, maybe question.
Yes,
So,
yes.
I really want to thank all 53.85% of you who have actually said yes, because it's acknowledging very important part. Because if you don't know there is a problem, there's no way of solving it, right? That's what I tell everyone. So you've actually acknowledged that there is a problem by saying, yes, I have been biased towards another colleague. Now, for those of you who've said no, we'll come to you again, right? Because I want you to remember that you said no. And, if you're confident in opening up at the end, we can definitely have a conversation on this. People who are maybe, this session is something that's going to help you understand. All right. So let me go to the next question. Have you experienced bias from another colleague at work? Like you are the recipient of the bias, like you've been victimized by some bias. Good. Okay, there's a small percentage of people who are saying no as well. Oh, someone's upset. Yeah, biases can be very upsetting. But the majority, as you can see, has kind of tilted towards yup. They have been subject to bias from another colleague at work. Very interestingly, this nope is kind of slowly rising. And I want to understand the gender of the people who are answering nope at the end. Okay, 9, 8, 7, 6. Just a few more seconds to go. If anyone hasn't answered, please answer. And we close. I think it's comparatively a very easy question, so you didn't need all 2 minutes. Yes, you've experienced either. I mean, most of you have experienced bias from another colleague at work. And it's not just another colleague, right? Even from family members, relatives, college professors. Sorry, I know this is like that group, but you generally experience bias from various people. Now, let me ask you this. Guess his profession. Take a good look at him and guess his profession. Oh, sorry. Have you all started guessing? Sorry, this doesn't load the answers instantly for some reason, so it's like a quiz question.
We didn't get any option, ma'am.
You didn't get any option of what? You can't see these 3 options?
No.
We don't have an option to type.
No, there is no.
There is no question there, ma'am.
I still got answers from so many of you. 37.5% of you said tattoo artist. 37.5% of you said guitarist in a rock band. 25% said other.
Unable to get the question.
Enter your name option.
Yeah. So it's okay. So again, I'm showing you this photo. So this is the person, and I can still start the quiz again. There you go. Someone said sports. Someone said, okay, you've put your own name, so you think it's him or her, or I don't know. A lot of you have said tattoo stylist, model, sports. I don't understand people who are putting their names. I think I'm sure you mean to put something else, but okay, great.
No,
Oh, these are the participants. Okay, now
No, the
let's
question asks to enter the name. So
The
we gotta
question
enter
asks the names. The question is asking the name.
now I think you will get the options. Can you all enter the options? You have a minute.
Ma'am, it says you have already
Yes.
responded. We can't respond.
You already answered this question.
Okay, people who already answered, it's okay. Whoever haven't answered, please answer.
But we can't answer. Yeah, now we got it. You're fine.
You got it? Okay. I'm sorry. Sometimes technology doesn't work in our favor. That's it. Let's see the answers. Oh, guitarist in a rock band is the highest. Right, and a tattoo artist, second highest, and then the third is other people. Okay, people who have said other, so can I hear some of the responses? Model, one fashion designer, model, some of these came up. Anything else? Anything else apart from these two?
Actor, ma'am.
Actor, okay, could be an actor, of course. So, yeah, I think Dr. Ritu, she said she was the first one to answer other, and other is the correct answer because he's actually a doctor. Now, what happened here? You looked at a photo of a person filled with tattoos, and you decided just based on his appearance that he has to be a person from rock band, he has to be an actor, he has to be a model, he has to be a tattoo artist himself, because what better thing do they have to do other than tattooing themselves, right? So this is what we decided, right? Why? Because that's how we see the world. We see the world through a stereotyped vision, right? Like I wear glasses because I have power and I feel better looking at the computer with glasses. Like that, we all wear glasses. And in these glasses are various biases. So there is no human being in this world. To all of those who said no and maybe to my previous question, there is no human being in this world who's not biased. Okay, all of us, and if this is any comfort to you, all of us carry biases. I carry bias, you all carry biases. It's at varying degrees, biases towards or against your own group of like affinity, right? Affinity based bias. So there are so many more biases which we'll talk about through the day, but this is one of the first biases that you have, biases towards appearance. That's the top bias. Anytime, anywhere you go, you judge people based on their looks, first impressions, looks. That's where the biases come in. Okay, and I'm going to talk about how, if bots did what we did, things will be a little more bias free. And that's what we're going to talk about, how technology can aid in better decision making, fairer decision making, and remove some of the implicit biases that we as humans carry. Right now, a lot of you have put your names. Now I'm going to like just spin. I hope you all remember what you answered. Okay, Miss N. Sarulata with Devil's Face. Can you share a little bit about any kind of bias that you might have experienced in workplace, if you're comfortable? Hi, may I request participants to be on mute, please? Thank you.
45 days publish. Yeah, no, ma'am. Actually, like by the time I got changed and it got like.
Whoever's on mute talking.
So please mute yourself.
Vijay Anand sir, can you please mute yourself? I think he's the one who's talking. All right, Ms. Sarulata, can you please answer your, share your story of workplace bias?
Ma'am, am I audible? Hello?
Yes, you are, but this Vijay Anand sir is like continuously talking. Can someone mute him, please, admin? Or someone? Who is the one on unmute? Can you please mute him? I don't know who it is.
Vijay Anand?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah. So please put yourself on mute.
All right. So yeah. Yes, Ms. Sarulata, go ahead. No, there is somebody else who's talking. I don't know who it is. One second. Yes, it's Venkat Deva. Can someone mute him? Can someone please mute him? Is there an admin? Can you mute him?
Yes, I have done that.
Okay.
Whom should I put on mute, madam? Whom should I put?
Yes, Madhu, you can go ahead.
You muted Madhuvanti also.
No, she can unmute and she can continue.
Yeah. Ms. Saralata, can you please share whatever you had?
Lata? Madhu, please unmute yourself, Madhu.
Oh, oopsie doop, sorry. So let's continue with another person and they can talk probably. Suhasini. Suhasini, are you there? Can you all hear me?
Yes, Madhu, we can hear you.
Yes, ma'am. We
Okay.
can hear
You are audible, ma'am. You are
You're
audible.
audible. You're audible.
Okay,
But we
I think
can't see
any
your
name that I
screen.
call out. You can't see my screen. Okay.
Yes.
Oops, oops. Um, all right. Can you all see my screen now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Yeah. Suhasini, can you please go next and share whatever your story of workplace bias is? Okay, looks like she's also not here. I'll go for the next spin. I don't know who this is. I hope you know who you are. Sports player. All right, I'll just randomly pick someone and I'll ask them to share. Dr. Ritu. Dr. Ritu, are you there on the call?
Dr. Ritu? Ritu?
All right. So looks like
She's
people are
not
not there
there.
on the call.
Yeah,
It's fine.
I'll answer. You want me to answer? It's okay because my name is not there anyway.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think Dr. Ritu is here.
Yes, ma'am. I just moved to for 2 minutes. Can you give me? Can you tell me what you are asking, Ravi ma'am?
Okay. My name is Madhuvanti. You can call me Madhu. The question is to share your story of workplace bias.
Okay, workplace bias you are talking. What happened? My voice is
There
audible.
is a lot of yes, but there's a lot of noise, I think. Yeah.
Go to that. See, ma'am, I many of times I just go for the promotion, right? I'm eligible for the professorship, but because I'm from North India and I presently in the South India, so the whatever I feel that the local and unlocal things are happening in Telangana. So because of this reason, from the last 5 years, I'm unable to get the promotion for the professorship, and especially in OU University. I'm very much frankly speaking. So this is the biasness what I am feeling, that they are preferring local people as compared to unlocal people, and they have a biasness of North and South India. What I am clearly saying is.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for the share. I think some of the professors said that they will share. I'm not sure who it is.
It is Bala Subramanian, sir. Bala, sir?
Yes. Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I always find a particular person is doing a good job. See, actually, I was a general manager. So the bias is like this. I always find one person is doing a better job. Whatever job first I give it to him and ask him to do. And then if he wants, he'll get it done from somewhere else. It's a positive bias, actually. But it's a bias.
So bias towards positive performance or good performance.
Yeah, that's right.
That's literally the only allowed bias you can have.
But what is happening is the others feel that I always give the job to him only. No? So that's a negative bias for the others.
Yeah. So see, actually, what happens is I have two kids at home. So my elder one's name is Rishi, younger one's name is Rihan. And if I tell Rishi to do something like clean up the living room or take this cup and keep it in the sink, he will always do it. If I give it to Rihan, he'll not do anything. So whom am I more likely to give that job to next time? It'll be my elder one, right?
To
So that's
Ritu
what
only.
happens at workplace.
To Ritu.
To Rishi, yes. Yes, Rishi. I don't have.
Rishi.
Unfortunately, I'm not blessed with girls. All right.
Rishi.
So, so what happens at home is what happens at work. So that's what you need to explain to your team, saying that, hey, workplace and home are not very different. Bias towards, good performance or
I want to say one thing. What you are saying, I'm absolutely right. And what the sir previously say that whoever are doing the work is given. Just जो जितना काम करता है उसके ऊपर उतना डाल देते. But it is one way of excusing also na. Some people think we are getting a same salary, we are getting everything same. Why should we go? हम क्यों काम करें? तो this is one way कि हम नहीं करेंगे तो हमको काम नहीं मिलेगा. So this is one way.
Ma'am, really sorry, Ritu, Dr. Ritu. I think you need to stick to English because I myself don't know Hindi. So
Okay.
if you can speak in English, it'll be great.
No problem. Many people I have observed that this is one way of doing not doing a work. It is a type of excuse way. Because they make an impression they are not going to complete the deadlines, they are not going to do, they are not efficient, and they have second thing that we are getting an equal salary. Why should we take more pains? This is one way what I have think, and I have observed it also.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ritu. I think I got the point and we all got it. I'll go for one more spin and we'll definitely talk about some of these points in detail later. I don't know who this person is. They've given modeling.
Ma'am, this is me, Dr. Uma Raman.
Okay, Dr. Uma. Please go ahead.
The workplace bias depends upon the top level management, ma'am. I strongly believe that it's from the top level management. And it depends on so many factors: personality, the work culture, the way.
What's your story, ma'am?
My story, ma'am. And
yeah,
maybe like you are seconded because that you have a different perspective. You are not in syncing with the main thoughts of top level management.
Yes.
So you'll be always seconded. That's what I had to
bias towards non-alignment. Okay, yes. So this is called bias towards non-alignment. Okay, thank you. That's a very good call out. A very good bias that you brought up. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so I think we'll stop here and we'll continue and come back later. And let me talk about 5 killer biases which are hurting organizations today, right? And I want to tell you a couple of points about what all are actually hurting organizations and how HR technology, HR tools can actually help. The poor hire bias. Like we did that to that tattoo artist, right? Who later I told you is a doctor. Imagine this tattoo artist, is the person who's going to be like doing a very critical surgery. Imagine he's a surgeon. He's doing a critical surgery on your loved one. He comes without his doctor's coat with like, right after his workout, because sometimes doctors and surgeons get called out for emergencies suddenly, right? They might be anywhere. Imagine he's walking from a gym. He has his cut sleeve t-shirt he's wearing. He's showing all his tattoo and he comes in. And you're all immediately guarding all your loved ones because you're anticipating this person to pull a gun out anytime and then do something to your family, right? That's your first impression when you look at this person. Then this person comes and announces, don't worry, I'm going to go in and do the surgery. What's the first reaction you're going to give? Imagine this person he's going to perform a surgery on is your mom, God forbid, your spouse, your child, anybody. What's the first reaction that you'll have?
The patient will die.
Disbelief, ma'am.
Exactly. Why? Based on his looks, you have basically judged that he has no competency. So this is what happens in organizations. When we hire, like I hire people day in and day out, right? it's a good thing today we are doing a lot of these hiring virtually, because right from the way they walk into the room, everything gets judged, because we have to make, this is like arranged marriage, right? You have to make a decision on your life partner in those 5 minutes of, like, the tea or coffee exchange happens, and that's all you get like one glance. And sometimes if parents are very liberal, they allow the bride and the groom to the prospective bride and groom to talk. So this is how it is. So what happens there is a candidate, if not confining to our standards of attractive, we don't really go and hire them. The second reason is this person reminds us of somebody else. That's another physical attribute bias, right? So tattoos, like in fact, a lot of people get judged because of things like tattoos, hair colors, like they have a freaky hair color, a purple or pink or some different hair color, right? And they get judged on it. And then tattoos, piercings, right? They have piercings here, they have piercings here, and like people judge them. So these are some of the physical biases. Now, okay, I don't do any of that, but just by looking at me, imagine that, because I wear either thick glasses or I look a certain way, which doesn't confine to your standard. That is also a reason why people poorly hire. Like they make a decision based on this, right? And this is the worst, right? I remind them of some old foe that they have had in, say, school, college, and I remind them of that. That is another reason why people actually don't select a candidate. And it'll be very amusing to think about it, but you're actually not giving an opportunity to a person. You're messing with a person's life. So that's how you have to look at it, right? So that is a bigger problem. Resistance to change bias. In fact, I don't know who it was. I think Ms. Uma spoke about it. I'm not aligning to something that the organization is proposing. So they are calling me negative. I'm resisting change. Okay, so not aligning. That is a bias towards those people. The second is everything is going in a certain way. I come and propose newer ideas. I'll say, hey, why do we do PPT? Let me do AHA slides, right? Today, that's what I did, right? So immediately you guys hate me. Imagine that happened in corporate. How will it be? Oh, this girl is always bringing in changes in our organization. Why can't we stick to our standard processes? We are who we are today because we have followed these processes. Why can't we just stick to those processes? Why do you keep introducing new policies, new processes? What will happen? What will happen if we did that?
People will not follow whatever you're saying.
Yes, and we risk losing talent to people who, imagine like this pandemic happened. In fact, I was with NextGen Healthcare at that time. We were one of the top organizations to announce work from home even before government put that thing forward, right? Curfew and all of that forward. We just went and announced work from home because we are, and I mean, at that point, right? NextGen Healthcare is a US based organization. And in US, pandemic had gotten slightly more, further. So most of the US organizations announced in India, go and work from home. People actually question the decision. Why do we have to do it? Pandemic is only in the US. It's not there in India. Why do we have to work from home? People will not work. They will sleep. They will watch TV. They will do house chores. They will not work. This is what they said. To date, it's 1 year, 8 months. And we continue to work from home. We were the first set of people who went into work from home. February of 2020, we started working from home, and here we are still working from home. Right? So that is a bias that we carry. The third bias, somebody called out the bad performance. Basically, we have our favorites, right, at work, and that is based on various factors. The only bias you can have is basically based on merit or performance. It's okay to look at them differently. Good performers can be given preferential treatment. A lot of researchers say that that is one way of motivating good performers as well, right? So that's the only acceptable bias. But what happens is when you do the appraisal rating, right, you don't remember the whole year's stuff that happened. You remember probably the last 15 days, 1 month. Oh, just 20 days ago, there was this huge escalation on this employee who has been consistently performing for 11 months. probably that 1 month something happened, but you remember only that, and you give this person a needs improvement rating, right? And not a met expectations or exceeded expectations. So if you know, in corporates we are like constantly rating people. Every 6 months, every 3 months we do check-ins, and every 6 months we give like a kind of a soft rating, and then in the system we go and enter at the end of the year, and everything, right from your promotion, your compensation, the amount you will receive as bonus is tied to your rating. Okay, your rating decides literally your fate. Okay, and imagine then the biases come in to rate a person. Another reason why people give another person a good rating, this is really sad. Okay, this person is more likely to quit, so I need to promote this person, so I need to go and give him a better rating so that the promotion goes through, not at all thinking about the long term repercussions of a person who's not even qualified to do his or her job in the current level going to the next level. Why? Because it's an attrition risk. Okay, so these are some of the biases, right, that come into play. Office politics bias, somebody called this out. Senior management, your affiliation towards senior management having an effect on your growth and your development and your rating, everything. Okay, so that is office politics bias. Another thing, right, he's from my state. The person whom I am proposing is from my state. I trust him more rather than trusting somebody. Dr. Ritu called out, right? She's a North Indian trying to get a promotion in South India. She's saying she's constantly being told that you are not eligible for promotion. Why? Because she's a North Indian and they don't trust her, right? It's no longer about competencies. It's no longer about whether or not she qualifies for her professorship role, but it's about the fact that, okay, she's a North Indian. That's the bias. The blind manager bias, wherein the managers basically have set of beliefs, okay, that a person who sits and works like 12-13 hours a day full time in front of the system, whether they're playing solitaire or not is a different story, but they're in front of the system just working, always online, always in fact, we all have things like MS Teams, we have something like Slack, right? And it shows the status. Okay, and it's always online. So this guy or girl must be really working very hard. Okay, whereas the other person at 1 to 2 lunch break turns away, 5 to 6, 5 o'clock onwards turns away. So that person's definitely not working. So let me go ahead and give the person who's on constantly available a higher rating. So these are some of the biases that come into play, and these kill careers. Okay, let me not mince words. Let me put it in like as many words as possible, right? These kill careers, in short. Okay, I have a couple of stories, which I wanted to share with all of you, and I hope it's okay. I think I'll stop sharing my screen for some time. How do I, can you still see my screen?
No, ma'am.
No, we are seeing you.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am. No,
Right.
no, ma'am.
Okay, great. I had like 5 stories to share, right? Which were done by human beings like HRs or people. And I want to talk about how technology would have done it differently. Okay. My first story is I was working in a company, an Indian IT organization, which is very well known and pretty much known as the Indian corporate, which has generated so much employment. One of the organizations which is probably a lot of people's dream organization, etc. I don't know. I'm talking about probably a longer time ago. Now today, I don't know whether it is or not. Okay, there is this employee who comes almost in tears. Okay, just give me 1 second, please. All right. So this person comes to me right after going to the insurer, okay, comes to me almost in tears and says, I want to talk to the HR. I said, okay, please sit down. And just give me 1 second. Hey, hi, everyone. Just give me 2 minutes. I need to urgently make one call. Okay, I'll just be back.
And do we have test every day or at the end of the every?
Sir, only at the end of this FTP on day 5.
Okay, ma'am. Thanks.
Just hold on for 1 more minute. Madhu will join.
Yeah, sure.
Participants, feedback link for the session 3 is posted. Please give your valuable feedback. Thank you.
Hi, I'm so sorry. Can you all hear and see me all right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Madhu.
Okay. I'm sorry. Sometimes work, I will have to can't compromise on that as well. All right, cool. So I wanted to share a couple of stories, right? The first story really is about, like I said, right, is about a person who came to me in tears and said, hey, I just spoke to the insurance person and I'm just coming directly from that insurance person. I felt very bad. I said, what happened? And then she sat down, I gave her some water, tissues, and then she started telling me that she is basically a younger sister of a person. She is working with my company. The younger sister is working with my company. I don't know who it is. I think Ganesh Murthy K. Can you please stay on mute? Admin, can you please mute everyone if you don't mind? All right. And she comes to me and she says the reason why she was rejected. Her insurance, the person asked a lot of questions. So what are the questions? So this person who's actually she went to get her maternity form given to the respective insurance person. And he asked her questions like, but you're not married. How come you're pregnant? And things like that. Very upsetting questions, right? So then she told me that, Madhu, actually my elder sister has been trying to get pregnant for 10 years and she's not been able to conceive. So I have surrogated for her. As per the law, even a surrogate mom gets maternity employment because she's the one who's going through maternity. And as per law, really, you don't have to be married to bear a child, right? You are still eligible for all the insurance benefits, for all the maternity leave and everything. So if a tool or a system had done it, it would have checked for the actual parameters, whether it's a woman. So all we needed to check is it a gender woman? The second thing is, has she completed 80 days of employment in the organization to avail, basically maternity leave for it to go forward, the request to go forward? Has she completed 80 days of employment? Third thing that they had to check is whether what was the date, and like very small things like what is the due date like, and those kind of information they had to capture, and whether or not she had topped up the insurance to a higher bucket, right? Like we allow employees to top up insurance. So there is a standard insurance of maybe 50 or 60,000 for maternity. Over and above that, has she topped up, which means she's eligible for 75,000 rupees of insurance. Has she done that? Which means peg her at the right insurance range. This is all had to be done. But the questions that were asked was, you're not married, how come you're having a baby? I can't process this because I need to check with my supervisor whether or not you qualify for maternity leave. And this person is very junior, one insurance guy, okay, like very junior guy, doesn't know better. And he asked all of these questions. Why? Because in his mind, something told him it's wrong for a woman to be pregnant without marriage. Because what have we told everybody culturally? So that's all he knows. That's all. He doesn't know any better. He doesn't know that there are exceptions. He doesn't know that there is a law protecting women, right? And he went against, and he put her at so much. And she was at a third trimester, right? She had come to office only for this work. And she was like clearly shattered because of somebody not being sensitive. Imagine a technology, HR technology did this work. Do you think this bias would have come in? Do you think she would have gone through what she went through?
No, ma'am.
Correct. The second thing, right? The second story that I have to share. Yes, Sakshi, did you have something to share?
One can sue in these cases now. Huh? Why did you do it? You're not supposed to ask.
So, right, you can sue if, if, of course, we went and basically gave him a very hard warning and said, first of all, we took him off from a front-ending desk and put him in a back-end desk. Secondly, we sensitized him saying that, sorry, you can't go and probe into all of this. But see, suing is a very extreme step due to not knowing. Like if the same guy who said all of this was had some 10 years of experience and still did it, right? It's a different story. He cannot do it. Right? This guy is a fresher, straight out of college, didn't know any better. It was sensitization issue. It's not about suing. It's about sensitizing. If we start suing people for their implicit biases, right? Whole human race will be suing each other. Nothing else will happen. So we had to resolve that conflict. We had to make him apologize. We had to make him write an email. We had to also apologize to her multiple times. I apologized. My leaders apologized. Everybody apologized on behalf of the company to her. And in fact, to be honest, when she actually had the baby, one of the few people that she told saying that, I've delivered my sister's baby and it's a boy, one of the few people to get those messages, it was me. I mean, I was one of them. So to that extent, we had to like keep that personal relationship going, apologize to her, make her feel comfortable about the whole thing. So that was one story that like really stuck with me, because if it was not a human being doing this work, right, I always wondered, it's a very transactional job. Scan documents, put things in place, enter it in the system. Any system can do it, and systems won't make stupid comments or sorry statements like this because they don't know, right? This is not fed into them. We have been fed with all of these thoughts, these biases, these things in our head. So that's what I wanted to call out. The second story that I wanted to share, right? There was a lady who went on maternity leave, had a child, came back. Okay, she came back, and the first time she came back, she was told, hey, you were not there for 3 months. So that time, I'm talking about when maternity leave was only 3 months, right? Today, it's obviously 6 months. So they said for in the whole year, 1 quarter, you were just not there. So today, the team had to stretch and do all the work. So you get needs improvement. She felt it was unfair because the rest of the time that she was there, the 3 quarters that she did work, she had done a pretty decent job. But she let it go. She said it's okay. Then the next year, she was told, okay, you came back from maternity leave. You've like, even though you stretched, and so basically when people come back from maternity leave, what do you think happens? They still have an infant at home, right? So they do their best. They do their best in terms of time allotment. They try to manage everything. So she's completed all her work in record time, okay, because she had to rush back home and she had to like take care of the infant and all of that stuff. And I'm talking about a time when daycares were not so evolved in India, right? I'm talking about what, 15 years ago, 12, 13 years ago. Daycares were not so evolved in India. We didn't have good infrastructure. Offices didn't have mandates to provide infrastructure, right? So some of those were also called out. Saying that she rushed early, she was always, finishing work quickly. And then she said, okay, I am finishing work quickly, but is there a quality compromise? Then you talk to me because that's an issue. They said, no, there's no quality compromise, but you could have done more, right? If you had stayed on for those 3 hours more, you would have done more. So that was the argument. She said, no, but you gave me these goals. I met my goals and I'm going home. I don't want an exceeds rating, but you're making me feel like you're doing me a favor for giving me a met expectation rating. So that was that years. So it proceeded for 6 years. 6 years after she had her baby. Basically, her child was 6-year-old. In that meeting, she went and asked, hey, I don't seem to be promoted where everybody else around me seem to have gotten at least 1 or 2 levels up. So what's happening? They said, don't compare yourself. Dr. Alex, I think, yeah, thanks. Don't compare yourself with other people, Jyoti. You went on maternity leave. So they all didn't go on maternity leave. So you went on maternity leave. Therefore, your growth will be slightly slower. So this is one story. If imagine promotions, calls on performance reviews were taken by nothing but data and system generated, do you think these biases would have happened?
No, this won't happen.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. There was a third candidate, right? He came to our office for an interview, right? There were 2 rounds of telephonic screening, and after that, he was invited to office. He came to our office and he came to our building, and then he comes to the interview room. Okay. And he sat down and basically he came to our room, and that's when we realized he was a wheelchair user. So we started interviewing the manager. There was a 3-member panel. One is an HR, 2 managers. So one of the managers was casually interviewing, asking about skills and all. One person was very, very reluctant, kept checking out the wheelchair, kept checking out what is happening and all of that. So after this conversation, when will we get feedback on? Feedback link for 1 and 2. Okay, I don't know what that is. All right, so I request you to post the answer on the chat. It's actually very distracting if you keep chatting about something else which is irrelevant on this chat screen. So please avoid. All right, this person got rejected by 6 companies earlier. And he told us that after his engineering, he got his he had an accident, and then he had to lose and stay on bed rest because he lost both his legs, and then became a wheelchair user. But he's a qualified engineer, ready to do anything, work. His hands were fine. His all other skills which he has gained through the engineering course, everything was fine. But 6 companies rejected him. And our company would have as well, unless and otherwise we as HR and the other hiring manager had not taken a strong stand, because one of the panelists was dead against this person coming into the team. And the reasons quoted were, we have to do a lot of accommodations. They will say they want to, they want this, they want that. And then I said, hello, this candidate, a lot of candidates call us saying, hey, I am inside the building. Where is building number this? I am supposed to come to building number 11. Where is building number 11? This candidate didn't even call us. He just directly came into the interview, right? Like we saw him, or rather heard from him only when he came into the interview room. I said, why do you think that he's going to need so much of more special accommodation? Why do you think that? And then we kind of started talking, and then we realized that he thought, from his association, he thought people who were using wheelchairs cannot do the job right. They will have, and then he started quoting things like he has to go on site after some point in this role. We might need to send him to the US and UK. And then we said, okay. Oh, we will have to pay for an attender extra. We will have to do this. We will have to do that. I said, okay, that is reasonable accommodation. So basically, as per law, we are supposed to give reasonable accommodation to a person who has a physical challenge, right? And that reasonable accommodation is what this person was quoting as an expense. So for example, a person who can't see well, has vision issues, right? Challenges in vision. We need to procure softwares like JAWS, etc., with which they can actually work. And these licenses typically cost a lot. That is a cost that the company should bear, because that's called reasonable accommodation. Today, of course, Microsoft softwares do come, like OS itself has a lot of accessibility parameters built in. At that time, we didn't have. So today, employing people with disabilities has become slightly easier, and a lot more people are getting jobs. But earlier, that was not the case, right? So some of these things were coming into the forefront, right? And a skilled person, competency wise, very good. He's in this 1 year, he was supposed to be on bed rest also. He has taken up a couple of certifications and done it, because he just had to lie down on the bed, right? But he could always listen to certifications or view them on the phone or things like that. And he has done a couple of certifications. Okay, I don't know. Mary Francis, can you please be on mute unless you're going to say something? All right. So these are a couple of biases that I wanted to talk to you about. Another one, there was one more person, right? There was one more person who kind of was told. So there were two candidates who typically come in for promotion discussions, right? The manager had two candidates, one a man, one a woman. And both candidates were fairly assessed. And then finally it came down to who will the team look up to and listen and take instructions from. Now, what do you think is the answer for it? Who will the team look up to and make?
Your question is obvious, it is man.
Exactly. Why would you ask such a question? And what does this question even mean? Why won't you look up to women? I mean, don't they have content? I don't know what is it. Why do you ask such questions in such interviews? So like, it's absolutely ridiculous discussion to have, right? And last but not the least, and this is my favorite, right? Bias towards. So for example, if there is a woman who's growing too fast in the organization, why is that? What is the reason for it? What do you think is the reason for it?
Skill set.
Yeah, that's the ideal reason. What do you think will be the reason for it? What do you think people will call out as the reason?
Buttering.
Let me put. Even worse, Mr. Bala, let me tell you. She has done a lot of things to the boss, which is which are favors based on
I didn't
which
want to say that actually.
she was
Favoring the boss.
Yes, and say for example, if the boss, you take one of the parameters out, like the boss is no longer a man, boss is a woman. Why is she growing? Oh, women want to promote only women. They have some sort of a feminist agenda. So if it's a man promoting a woman for her skill set, it's because she has either had a relationship with him or had some sort of an affair with him. If a woman promotes another woman, it's because of feminism agenda. But basically, nobody can promote a woman. That is what I have understood. Because everybody has a say on any time a woman gets promoted. But if it's a man getting promoted, totally worth it. Yeah. He has a son. He's the only earning member in the family. He definitely deserves the promotion and the money that comes with it. So these are biases we carry again. So that's some story that I wanted to share. And again, some of these will not happen if tools are taking these calls and not human beings. Right? Let me go back to my screen. Can you all see my screen again?
Yes, Madhu, we can see.
Great. Now, I want to play like a video. Please let me know if you can hear it. I request everybody to please be on mute. Can you all hear the audio?
No, madam, we can't hear the audio.
Okay.
And you're
No,
clicking
Madhu.
the video, you should say include audio somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying to see where it is.
No audio. Madhurti ma'am, may I just say something in this?
We actually can't hear Madhu.
Madhu ma'am, may I guide a little bit on this?
And you can go and obviously watch it, right? But I just wanted to show you this small snippet because I'm going to talk about it. It's called the Boston Symphony, a blind audition experiment. So I'll tell you what this experiment was all about. So the Boston Symphony folks, right? Just one second. Do you all still see my screen?
No, we can't see now.
What is happening with Miss Mary Francis? Is there anything?
Yeah, she's muted.
Can someone like?
Yeah, she's muted. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, you can actually go and download that video and watch it at your time. But I'll tell you what this experiment was all about, right? The Boston Symphony basically had only men. They were basically taking only men as musicians. So every time the orchestras will play and the auditions will happen, and then only men were coming in. Women were always not coming in. And then people wondered how can like a symphony, right, an orchestra symphony, have only like men. Are we saying there are no good violinists who are women, who are no good orchestra people who are like women? I think somebody should call Miss Mary and tell her that we can literally see everything that she's doing, and at least I can see. I don't know about others. Maybe it's my view, and I don't think it's fair to her also in terms of her privacy and stuff. So, can someone please tell her?
Yeah. She has.
Thanks.
Not only audio,
all right.
Video also.
Yeah, it's good thing that she's gone. Okay, all right. Now, so what they did, right? They put a black screen in. Okay, so splitting the auditioners and the participants who are coming to audition, right? So they put a black screen. So auditioners were sitting this side, and the practitioners, like people who were auditioning for, right? The people who are coming to play, those were on the other side of the screen. So these guys couldn't see the people, right? And they were still going ahead with the audition. And then towards the end, again, they were only selecting men. So they couldn't understand, hey, we thought this experiment was supposed to give us all like a mixed group of men and women. Does that then mean that there are no qualified women violinists or, orchestrants that we could take from. Then they realized that even though the screens were blind, women had a unique sound when they came and sat on the chair. Can you guess what it is?
Maybe there are ornamental sounds like bangles and
because it's India, you gave this answer. Yes.
Oh,
It's
maybe
actually
the heel.
clicking.
Yeah, that's true. The heel.
Clicking. Right. Actually, there was somebody who told anklet because it's a very Indian. You have to understand, this is not. Boston Symphony is not in India, right? So
this is Boston, is it?
Boston Symphony, correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Shweta, can you please be on mute? Hi, as a practice, right, as a discipline, please stay on mute if you're not talking. I think that will really help me avoid distractions through the session. Thanks.
This bias works across the world against women, not just like in one particular country.
Correct. So basically what the people who were auditioning were looking at is not just the playing of the instrument, who will stay longer in the orchestra, who will work, because sometimes when there is a performance, right, people have to like practice. Sometimes they will have to practice close to like 12 hours, 13 hours at one stretch. Who will be more available? So what is the answer? Right, traditionally and in every sense, right, men don't have much responsibilities at home. They don't want to go rushing back to children, etc., right? In their heads, that's the only factor why they picked, not basis the quality of the playing of the violin or the quality. And when they then asked people to remove their shoes and come and sit, then they got a better percentage of women. And you can read all about it. It's a big case study, right? It is one of the biggest experiments conducted, and it's called the blind audition experiment by Boston Symphony. So this is one of the experiments. And what happened at that point, because at that point we are talking about like very long ago, right? It was in the 50s or 60s, this experiment was conducted. So that time the technology was that blind screen and asking people to remove the shoes, right? And just like techs have glitches, we'll have to remove our shoes as well. So because when we bring in technology, it doesn't mean immediately it'll start working. I'm going to talk about that as well in a bit, right? So that is another thing that I just wanted to call out, that these are some of the biases that have actually happened, and people have addressed it through various means, and one of them being the blind screen, like I said, and asking people to remove the shoes. These were the two things. Now, I want to talk to you about a resume. Now, you all have students, they will all start sending resumes, and you have seen typically a lot of resumes as well. So this is what a typical resume looks like. What all can cause bias in this resume?
Basically the photo, because he wears a very casual wear, so probably people may think he's very casual by his attitude.
Okay,
that's one.
The photograph.
Yeah.
Appearance, fair or dark complexion, cast.
Very good. The race of the person, caste of the person, basis any revealing factors. A lot of women, right, they wear their whatever, that chain and things like that, showing whether or not they're married or unmarried. That's a cause of bias, right? A lot of their photos will have some of that. Next bias. Gender itself is a bias. To start with, it's a man, right? There starts a bias. Second is his name. His name typically names, even in India, right? Typically they give away your lot of things, right? Where you're from. Sometimes,
origin of country origin.
Yes, which state that you come from. Some of them have their castes as their last names: Nair, Iyer, Pillai, or some very common names, right? Like Chakraborty and things like that. These are very common biases where the caste there only is available. Like, so name itself is another bias, right? Biasing factor. Appearance, the gender, then the clothing, like the formal or the casual look. What else can cause bias in this?
Importance is not given to the skills. She has given the name the first priority.
If prominence is given to the name, then what else? Very good observation.
Organization in which somebody worked.
No, that is their experience, right? That will be common to anybody who worked anywhere. But I'll tell you a top bias thing. So here he has not put it, but typically what we do, right? BE, IIT Kozhikode or whatever, IIT Madras, and supposed to be that IIT Madras is supposed to give him like some sort of him or her some sort of a major ticket in, right? Have you seen people commonly like flashing IIT IIM? Like, why do you need that biases? That you need only when you're entering workforce. 15 years, 16 years after that, why do you need that? You don't need it. You are a lateral. You are like coming into. So why are you trying to influence the panel by saying, hey, I went to these colleges? Second, something that you all didn't point out is the address. Which area is this person coming from? Is this which city, which area? Is this a tier 1 city, tier 2 city? What is this person's background? That is another bias. Do you know, most of my candidates send me, they'll ask me, which resume do you want, ma'am? Do you want with my actual address or do you want with Bangalore address? They give some relatives address in Bangalore so that they get a job in Bangalore. Because we'll see and they'll see this candidate is not from Bangalore and in Bangalore, okay? This person is not in and around Velandur. So I will reject this person because who will come all the way from Hebbal to my company? Therefore, let me reject this person. So much traffic, even if they come, they will leave. So I'll reject this person because of that. Is this person married? Is this person having children? So these are things that happen in an interview. Sorry, I was supposed to ask you to identify some of the key elements, but I think we all spoke about it. So I think we are good here. So if you actually see a resume, right? If we had a tool that converted, and a lot of organizations today have it, right? They have tools that convert resumes that come in, and they block out things like name. Here it is just struck off. There they just black it. Okay, they black everything that causes otherwise causes bias. Somebody called out the place that they worked in could also cause bias, right? Although I said that is common, right? If in India, if somebody came and said, hey, I joined a particular company training, they are trying to use it because people know that in this kind of a company, training would be very good. Therefore, they have been trained there, which means that person is a better candidate to take in. We get good trained resources. So that's how people look at it. So sometimes, at least I understand workplace. What I don't understand is, why is it important for people to call out there? So if you actually look at my resume, I don't have any personal information. There is a column called personal information in resumes. I have zero idea why we even need that, right? Why do we need personal information? Where they claim whether they are single, married, who is their father's name, okay, and what is their address. What is the need for any of this information when you're going for an interview? There is zero, unless you want to turn it towards your favor by biasing somebody with it. That is the only reason you would do it. Why would you otherwise do it? Right? So that is this is something that I just wanted to share with you. Now, how does technology and artificial intelligence, machine learning help us combat biases, right? There are, okay, sorry,
Madhuvan.
My bad. Yes.
Yeah, just now one small doubt, ma'am. Just now you told that why there is a need for us to tell the basic information in biodata, right?
You don't need to.
Yeah, but the companies ask, right, when we apply for the position, why they ask? When we apply.
Which company asks?
So your company.
Sorry, who's talking? Can you please first tell your name and then talk? Sorry, it'll be easier for me to address.
Yeah, Suresh.
Suresh, okay.
So
yes, Suresh, please go ahead.
They ask us basic details, no, madam. Your company won't ask the basic details when we apply for the
What
job.
are the basic details according to you that the companies ask when you fill out an application?
The address, ma'am.
It'll ask for your contact. No, it'll ask for your email ID and contact details so that they can reach out to you. Address comes at a later stage when you're in onboarding, because they need to send you an appointment letter with the address, which is a compliance requirement. That's a different story at that stage. What is the need for your resume to carry that information?
Yeah, I will.
Why do we need?
Yeah, I will tell. Because as you all know, the faculty members are here. When we apply for some job, especially the government job, they ask all the details starting from the basic details, caste, community, all these things they ask. So do you think that by
Is that
asking,
correct?
No, I'm asking, do you feel that by asking these details, will there be a bias? No, I'm personally.
Of course, there will be the bias. There will be a bias, right? See, the more you reveal, the more there are chances of getting biased.
Okay, ma'am. Okay,
Correct. So I'll tell you one of my stories, right? When I actually have a couple of tattoos. If you see, there is my husband's name is Srijit, so I've put Shri in my this hand, and then I have like an infinity tattoo with love and family. So when I got these tattoos, a lot of people who are concerned of my well-being asked, Madhu, what happens if people reject you on basis of these tattoos? I said, I don't want to work in organizations that are going to judge me by my tattoos. So that is me straight away rejecting them by saying, hey, I don't even want to work with you if you're going to be judging me on things like this, right? So that is I want people to be open-minded when I'm going to an organization. And I said, that's why all the more reason I want to go and get it done. See, if people are asking you for this, of course, government sectors and things like that, they ask you all of this because there is a reservation, there is a quota. They need to give these many quotas, this much quota to a particular sect and community and things like that, right? So probably that's why they ask it, but it doesn't mean that it's right. Then you're again still not making any decision based on just merit alone. You're still making it based on quota or whatever, with whatever details that you have. It is unfortunate, but in corporate India, actually, it doesn't happen. We don't collect such information. Most of the information, including your gender, there will be a third option: do not wish to disclose. Okay, age, do not wish to disclose. Marital status, do not wish to disclose. Right? Some of these are like, wherein you can skip disclosing this information.
Okay, ma'am.
Can you all still see my screen?
Yes, we can see, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. In terms of technology, AI, ML to combat biases, right? One is like hiring. In hiring, a lot of pioneers, right? Facebook and Amazon had hiring AI deployed. So for initial screening, they wanted AI to suggest the ideal candidates. Facebook went and inputted its past data, right? Like whatever past decades data they went and put it in. And then the result was the AI machine it learned from past data and it started suggesting only male candidates, male white candidates, because that's what majority of the candidates who got through were. Okay, it started suggesting. Basically, what did it do? The system picked up the human biases and it started following the same human biases. It said, okay, this is the way to go. Amazon again fed the same data, right? Amazon's AI started being more biased towards women. It said more okay to women candidates because past data reflected that more women got through. Okay, so that was something that so systems learn from us. The base is still the human beings, right? So systems learn from us. It's somebody who's feeding some factors and saying that, hey, check this, check that, check this. The person who's feeding it, and just for you to understand, right, I've implemented HR technology in a couple of organizations, so I know this. You set a couple of parameters and the system runs with those parameters. The person setting the parameters, if they put a bias in, that bias is going to continue in the system for a longer time. Do you understand what I mean? The second factor, right, is performance reviews. Imagine after 6 months, your computer auto generates based on just your work in the system. It auto generates a one pager and gives you a performance review summary. Do you think that is more likely to reflect your work rather than you going and putting in the system? And do you know what is the problem? Half of them are so busy with work, they don't even take time to fill in the tool. So then the managers tend to be biased towards people who have, put in data, a lot more data, right? And because of this, many women miss out on promotion opportunities, the progression opportunities, because they are too busy to fill out performance reviews. According to them, this is not core work. Why should I be doing anything extra apart from my work? Right? That's how they view it. What they don't see is the long-term repercussion. And because of this, if a data analytics or an analytics sheet automatically picks up your work from your computer, because all of us work in systems. Imagine there is a tool that constantly monitors your work, and not the time that you took to do the work, but the work output itself, right? Imagine how the decisions will be. It'll be amazing, correct? Third is compensation. See, we see people with compensation. We see when we are giving a compensation or a merit increase to a person, right? We call it merit increase. Such an irony. Okay, we go and give it to a person. We see that okay, this person is just a secondary employer in the house because she's a woman. Husband's there already earning, she's a secondary, but this guy is a primary earner in the family. So let me give a more hike. How many of you all have actually at least heard this or at least thought this?
I've
Okay, yes, go ahead. Yes, you've all heard or went through this, or you have. Why do you think there is a big issue with this whole wage gap currently? It's because of this, because at over a period of time we have actually taken these calls based on gender. Yes, Jayanti, you had your hand up.
Even the gold medal in an academic degree was given for a boy so that he would come up in the career succession. It looks
Exactly.
ridiculous.
Exactly. So in fact, you know what, 15 years ago, I of course I've completed 15 and a half years of my life in corporates, and I was a campus hire, right? So right after my campus interview, and so I studied visual communication and as my graduation, and so Infosys came for campus placement for a internal communications role. In my whole class everybody went for that, so they had a screening round which is aptitude based. So I think very few cleared that, and then there was a group discussion and things like that. And after everything, basically in my whole class of I think about 60 odd people, I was the only one with an offer for that particular role. So now this is a very aspirational role for a person who's studying Viscom, etc., right? Because that very few roles are there, and I got the offer. When I came out, the first thing that I said, hey, I got the offer, and I'm telling my friend, my classmate, somebody I've worked, like studied with 3 years, right? I'm coming and telling him, I'm so happy I got this offer. You know what was his statement to me? Anyway, you're going to get married, have children, and quit and go. Why did you come and appear for the interview? At least I would have. I said, whether or not I appeared for the interview, you wouldn't have still cleared the aptitude test, right? At least I had the sense to tell him that. Today, of course, we are still friends and we look back and laugh at it, and he feels terrible about what he said. But look at how the people think. Why should she get that job? Why should she get that seat? Why should we give this seat to her? These are biases. Now gender is one of the factors. LGBTQ is another factor. Like, oh, this person's sexual orientation seems like he's a gay, why would you employ this person and be around this person? It makes me very uncomfortable. Makes you uncomfortable, go take training sessions, right? Why do you not hire a person because of that? So this is another bias, right? People with these are very big things like physical disabilities based on which you're having a bias. And another thing, this person's married for 1 year, maybe now she will have a baby. Why should I take her in and then she will go on maternity leave? This is the biggest bias against women. They are more likely to look at candidates who have 2 children rather than look at people from that stage of life, right? Wherein they are likely to go on maternity leave. Hello, it's life. It happens. Men go on maternity leaves, women go on maternity leaves. Of course it happens. But there are biases towards this. That's the other part that I wanted to call out. Now, I have a small like a game, right? So please log in again to that tool if you've logged off. I see only 25 people in this tool right now. So it's guess the gibberish. As you can see, like I'll give you some words and you have to guess what that gibberish means. Okay, here goes the first one. Let me start the quiz. You have a minute to guess what this means.
Yes.
Hi, sorry, am I audible? Hi, sorry, am I audible? Okay. Anyone got it? Looks like none of you have entered the answer. You just have to read it real fast and then you will understand what it is.
No, where is your question?
It's there.
What is your question? No, I'm not able to see it. Have you typed the question?
I think for some
Make
people the question appears, for some no.
Of course, you
In
can
fact,
ask.
for me there
directly.
is no
What is the
question.
This is a question. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah, we are seeing you, but we are not able to see your question.
You have to go to the tool. Have you logged into the tool?
Yeah, what tool? Yeah.
There was a link, right? Have you logged into that?
Ma'am, please
Let me
share
find
the link
out.
on. Okay.
Just
Kavita
1
ma'am or
minute
somebody,
before
can
you
you
go
all...
to the next question. Please wait. Let me log into that link.
Okay. I can read this question as well.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yes, I have both link once again.
Okay, cool. You have a minute again. People who've already answered can't answer again. Can you all see now? Okay. Wrestler, gain in a day, make hay while shut, don't recall. Okay, basically the answer is video games. Did you all get the answer? It's video games. So I think we still have Dr. Ritu leading because of the last answer. Now the next one. Next one's on your screen. You have to read it really fast, then you'll get it.
It reads, please enter your password. But I can't enter it anywhere, ma'am. I have a problem with my machine.
Okay, thank you for giving away the answer. The answer is please enter your password. That is the answer. Okay, great. So the second one is, the next one is, okay, Venkatesh kind of got it, I think. All right, the fourth question. Again, read it quickly, you'll get the answer. Okay, you have a minute now. Okay, I don't know how many of you all got it. Let's see. None of you got it, but actually it's oops, I did it again. Okay, the leaderboard stays as is, which is the 5th question. Okay, that's the last one. You have close to 45 seconds. Somebody guessed it. A couple of people have entered. This one's easier, right? Okay, yeah, most of you got it. Battery is not included. That's the right one. Let's look at the leaderboard. Venkatesh Iyengar got the top points. And congratulations, you won this entire quiz. Yep. All right. So this is like another question I have for you. Do you think HR technology can help remove biases to a large extent? What do you think? Most of you are like agreeing, okay. Some of you are neutral, some of you are saying disagree, okay. Interesting. So, on a scale of 1 to 5, 3.9 folks think yes, technology will help remove biases, and 1.2 think it's like kind of neutral. But I'll tell you, the truth is HR technology can help remove biases if we feed in the right set of variables. If we feed in a wrong set of variables, it still cannot help remove biases, because the biases are going to transfer from simply a human being to the technology. So that's what I wanted to conclude with. Quickly rate this session, and we can get to like Q&A. I think we have 15 minutes. Whoever answered may, I really like it. And I'm not sure if you're the really sleepy person too. Okay, I think we're almost there. Have all of you answered? Okay, only half of you have answered, but it's fine. All right. So thank you so much. You hated it. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. I wish I could do better. You can definitely share your feedback after the session. Share whatever you feel can improve in the session. Definitely, I'll make some tweaks to it. All right. Thank you so much. I think that's all I had in terms of a session. So I'll stop sharing my screen and you can all we can all now just have a quick Q&A session if you have. I didn't see any specific questions being posted in the tool. So if you have any questions, please feel free to share it with me and we can get started.
Gender bias, technology can save, but not economic bias, because we have to afford for the technology, right?
You're not investing in the technology, right? Because the organization is.
Madhu, there's a question for you. Bias are always misleading. Is it so? From Zankana.
Yes, biases are misleading because when we don't understand biases properly, then we don't even know that we have. I mean, see, a lot of you said like, I don't have any bias in the beginning of the session, right? But it's not possible that we won't have any biases. So biases can be misleading. We might think that, hey, so I'll tell you one thing, right? There are these night shift roles in one of the companies that I was working with. We used to hire. A lot of managers used to not like select women at all because according to them, they were doing women a favor by not giving them night shift roles, because why would they want to mess up their biological clock and all of that and this, right? So that is like in their minds they're actually doing the right thing by not taking women in night shift roles. They said when day shift roles open up, we'll definitely look at these applicants. They're good applicants, but we don't want to take them now. It's a night shift role, right? And the other thing is they want, and a couple of people have clearly come and called out 80% of night shift folks should be men, 20% women, we are okay. Because otherwise it becomes a lot of things. You have to go provide cab drop, you have to provide a security with the cab, lot of things happen. We can't coordinate so much, so it's simpler to take a man, right? So some of these biases kind of it's very unconscious and we think we are doing the right thing. That's the whole beauty of it, but it's a bias nevertheless. See, most of the biases are very subtle. Some of the biases we also don't understand we have a bias for it, right? So basically some people like they say, right, if you wear specs, you typically tend to pick another person who wears specs, because that is something that you relate to. You have kind of seen in that person which is similar to you. Okay, I actually had one manager who will always pick people who's from the Air Force background because he himself is a military kid, and his father was in the Air Force, and so he feels that people from the Air Force background are like very versatile. They've always traveled. They're very flexible. They come with a lot of these things. And I said, sorry, you can't have such biases, and you can't like favor any particular sect of people. That's the whole point of hiring. So yeah. I'm sorry?
I said one of your candidates, the student, is an Air Force guy.
Okay. But do you think that there is any truth to what he says, that we should only pick those people because they are the only ones who are versatile?
No, I think I'll put it other way if you don't mind.
Sure.
Actually, sometimes it happens that a frog out of the pond helps in terms of the kind of work experience, the kind of exposure you have to cultures, people, and so on. Maybe that could be an added skill or advantage which could be harnessed. I think I should look as a recruiter from that end.
Correct. See, versatility is one of the many traits that we need. And we think, see, I'll tell you, my father was a professor, but we kind of constantly changed our houses, constantly shifted areas, we constantly moved schools. How am I different from an Air Force kid? Because that's the whole premise, right? You're saying that people moved a lot of houses, bank, like when father and mom, dad or mom are in the bank, right? Constantly going through transfers. They've lived in multiple cities, therefore they speak more languages.
In fact, I speak
right,
12,
and
in fact, I speak 12 languages.
Exactly. So people think somehow this becomes very relevant. So, so there are 7 intelligences that a human being can possess. One of the intelligences is to pick up languages, linguistic intelligence, right? So, but we kind of think, oh, this person knows so many languages. Like, I don't know why. Because I
No,
myself
probably,
speak about
yeah.
five languages, and people think that it's something great. It's not.
No, it's not
It's
great, but
spatial.
I'll tell you how it helps. In fact, let's say if I'm a teacher, I know I interact with the students, MBA students. So when a new batch comes, the first impression when I talk to them, I talk in their own language. So they feel that oneness. So sometimes it's an added advantage. I want to say from that angle. I mean, you have to really look at
Sorry,
it.
Venkatesh sir, I'm really sorry to break your bubble, okay? But you're actually pampering children and you're sending them to corporates where they will tell, hello, stop talking in regional languages and confine to English, right? Because you're talking to clients, you're talking to teammates from multicultural environments. And in fact, we actively go and we have to give people warning letters that they used a particular language in meeting rooms where there were another set of people who didn't know the language available and present. Too junior to open up and say, hey, I don't understand the language. Like somebody spoke in Hindi today, I said, sorry, I don't understand Hindi myself, so please go ahead. I speak up, right? I always tell them, isn't that better than listening to the whole conversation, not understanding, giving a very lewd response?
Yes.
I feel that's better, to be honest, rather than not speaking up and keeping quiet, and in the whole meeting not understanding a word of what they said, and basically attending the whole meeting, which is pointless, right? Not everybody can speak up. People, especially in junior roles, when they just come into organizations, right, so scared to speak up to anybody with higher ups,
So,
authority,
ma'am, excuse me.
hierarchy, etc. So
No, I didn't say
yeah.
that you need to speak in your own language as far as you need to learn and go and work. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it establishes a rapport while you talk.
I understand what you're
That's all
saying,
I'm
but I think while you're making that effort in the beginning, that is great. But I think overall,
Yes,
you need to
I
make sure that they are,
was
they
just
are all
talking about
aligned.
the
Yeah,
rapport building exercise, nothing else.
that's good. That's good. Right. Awesome. Yes, actually, in case of hiring, it can also be learning through past experiences. So, actually, one of the biases when I called out, right, the couple of biases that are killing people, one is this bias of past experiences. I had this one woman who went on maternity leave, said she'll come back, come back, come back. She never came back. So, I'll never hire anyone who's go through that phase again. So, that is bias of past experiences. We call it past experience, learning, etc. But no two individuals are alike. Let me tell you, so these are all adding to your social stereotype, right? If you compare and make a story in your head, oh, this is the same person, this is the same stage, this is more likely. Don't predict outcomes like this. We are not, see, leave it to, like, that's why individuals are different. So you know why I played this gibberish game? I don't know, none of you asked me, none of you were curious. Why did I ask you to enter what those words, muffled up words were, and I asked you to make sense of it? Because it heavily relies on sound and the way you pronounce it. Only humans can make sense of it, computers can't. So people come and tell me, if you take technology, you invest in it, then it means you're making 20 people's jobs redundant. No. See, as an HR, right, you will never go out of your role. The reason is you can probably give away transactional roles like I said, right, that insurance guy who was supposed to process an application. Those kind of roles can go out, very transactional, tactical. Anything that involves understanding people, understanding and forming bonds, communication, you do need people. So we are not going, just because HR technology is coming in doesn't mean that we are going out of jobs. That's not what it means. So I wanted to even explain that, right? I mean, typically people ask me, what is this? Why did you play this with us? And I was going to reserve it, but that's one thing that I wanted to tell you. Like, we have a lot of biases, and therefore in certain things relying on a technology actually helps us. It helps get best of the situation. And there are things we are better than computers. Imagine we left the computers to take any promotion decision. We will never take some of the intangibles into consideration. If humans do a promotion cycle, while computer gives like a pre-vetted list, and of that we consider intangibles, like this person, when this person is around, all the people around, she keeps them engaged. That's a very intangible outcome of having that person in the team, right? And that should qualify. Sometimes companies take optimization decisions like, should this person stay or leave, right? This person is not a great performer, why should we keep them in the team? This person single-handedly bonded that entire team and is keeping them together, why would you let this team member go? So these implicit like intangible things, right, only a person can understand, and based on that can make a decision. Yes, Mr. Venkatesh, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a different experience I had with that game. Actually, the first question when it came, I was like clueless as to what is this game. But when
Correct.
I heard your response, then I also found that I talked on the
Correct.
So it was just fun.
No, it's not about talking gibberish, but to just make sense. See, sometimes, right, I still do. I get a lot of messages. People, when they're in emergency situations, they can't sit and look at spellings and type and all of that, right? One employee had basically in one of my organizations, because the road was not leveled, right? He was using a wheelchair and he fell off the wheelchair. Okay, he took his phone. He had my number. Building 11. Fallen. Help. And spellings are all like wrong. If it goes through a computer, nobody's going to make sense of it. It's a human being who's going to make sense of it, right? So that's what I said, and we got the help that the person needed. But I'm just telling you, some of these things are very important for us to understand and realize that we are better suited to understand, taking into account various other things, right, which a computer can't. You can't feed that much to a computer that it can of course it can learn from a pattern, etc. They still need patterns, and who's feeding those patterns? We, right? So that's the whole point I was trying to drive. How can we be sorry, one second, Venkatesh sir. There are a couple of chat questions, so I want to address them as well. How can we remain optimistic yet unbiased? So these are two different things that you're talking about. Optimism is having a positive attitude towards people, right? So I don't understand why you've asked this question, Mr. Alok. Can you explain a little more what the context is? Okay. Okay, that's okay. That's okay. So basically, these are, like I said, two different aspects, right? If at all a person is optimistic, doesn't mean that they have to be biased to be optimistic. So you can be unbiased. You don't have to consider any of these. And see, one thing is, it's like I said, it's impossible not to be biased. You'll always be biased towards something or the other. Sometimes you will not be biased towards it, but you'll not be like, you might be biased against, either you will be biased against it or you will be biased for it. Like, there is this particular manager who says that I have to like somehow fix this gap of gender, so I'm going to keep giving chances to more women to come in. I'm going to keep promoting more women. That is also a bias. That's a favorable or a positive bias, but it's bias nevertheless, right? Positive or negative bias is has its own impact. That's what I would say. Exactly. See, the whole pandemic, we are able to onboard, interview. We're able to offboard people seamlessly only because a couple of organizations thought through and invested in HR technology. Bias or not, HR technology is extremely relevant and important. But for human biases specifically, I think it has a great role to play. In fact, some of the analytics, right, like a Power BI or any of these softwares, right, when you open, it gives which manager has most women employees, lesser employees, from which demographics, who is more likely to pick up younger folks as against older folks, who's more likely to pick up North Indians versus South Indians, what is happening to those people in terms of a career development graph. All these analytics is in like your fingertips. If you look at an Excel sheet with the same data, you can't make sense of it, but the analytics piece will give you a story, and that story is extremely important to form your decisions. I hope I was helpful. All right, I guess my time's up. Thank you so much. It was lovely meeting all of you, and look forward to hearing more from all of you. Thank you, Kavita ma'am, for calling me for this session.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Madhu. The session was really very, very interactive, and I know it's very difficult to hold on to participants, especially during the afternoon session. And I think I made the right choice by putting you in the afternoon session, and you made us all, actually we were not sleepy, we were all very alert listening to you. And throughout you have been telling us different stories and in between activities, and also about some situations that you had faced as a HR manager throughout your career. And it was actually overall a power-packed session, I would say. So thank you so much for that. And I know it's very difficult to get people from corporate, especially on a Monday. And in spite of getting calls from your office, I know you have spent really, you have shown your full involvement in our session, and you have very well planned for it as well. So thank you so much for that. And also our participants will agree with you. And I will sure share the feedback that I have received through the link. And even our participants, they have interacted with you throughout. So thank you so much once again, Madhu, for that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. And thanks all the participants. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Yes.
Thank you. Bye-bye. I'll log off.
Bye.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you. So participants, tomorrow's session starts at 9:15 a.m. itself, not 9:30 as of today. So tomorrow we'll start at 9:15, and we have 3 different sessions. The first session is by Mr. Naveen Surya. He is the chairman of FinTech Convergence Council, and we'll have a discussion session tomorrow along with Dr. Ravi Todla. So it will be a discussion session. So please join us. Please be on time at 9:15. And your attendance is recorded. And also, please don't forget to share your feedback. All the 3 sessions feedback links have been shared through your email as well. So even you can go home and share your feedback even by late evening. So don't forget to do that. And also please join us for tomorrow morning. And after Mr. Naveen Surya, we have 2 more speakers. One, Mr. Rajan Babu. He is again a HR person. And followed by a marketing professor, senior professor from NIT Trichy, Dr. Thamare Selvan. And so participants, please join at 9:15 a.m. tomorrow. And thank you all. You all were so wonderful and interactive today. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.